going to go ahead and highlight Shoney so everybody can see his handsome face. And we're ready to go.
Awesome. How are you guys all doing today? Ready to rock and roll. And I want to tell you, you're going to feel slightly overwhelmed today because I'm going to go fast, and it's by design. Part of the reality is that part of this might feel kind of like a new language for some of you. By raise of hand, if you can, raise your hand if you've been using AI for the past year. Awesome. Now, the reality is some of you who've been using it very actively are going to see some of the stuff today, and you're going to be like, whoa, I'm not actually using AI in that specific way. So my focus today is really just to broaden your perspective around what's possible with AI. Now, I'm not going to actually overlap with the content that we're going to go through during the AI Summit. That is going to be a very intense deep dive. It's about a 4-hour journey we're going to go through and helping you to understand how to use 8 to 10 different platforms. Most of you are probably using, ChatGPT or Claude, which are a good starting point, but you want to start thinking of other solutions and other areas of your business where AI can be impactful. And so for today, we're going to go through a certain, kind of conversation. And what I want to tell you is, again, you're going to feel slightly overwhelmed, but just realize that this is somewhat a new conversation or a new language that you're learning to speak. I was down in Chile last March. I went down with some partners. We bought some land down there, and 6 of the 8 partners spoke Spanish. I was not one of them. And so I had no clue how they were communicating with everybody that we were talking with and engaging with while we were on that trip. We went to Argentina first and then Chile. Now, the first thing that I did when I got home is I downloaded an app called Duolingo. Some of you might be familiar with it. And I started to study because I said, next time we go down to our property, I'm going to at least be able to understand what people are talking about. And so my hope for you today is that this just kind of sparks some inspiration around what AI can do to ultimately help you buy back your time. Okay, that's the ultimate outcome that I want you to do, is be able to work less but achieve more. Okay, it's very, very possible. This group I'm showing here, we just launched this yesterday, so feel free to join. We're actually a lot of these, we do these actually monthly in our region, and we just dump the resources, the recordings, the recaps, all of that in this community. It's on School if any of you are on that platform. And so if you want to join the conversation, that's a great place to be. We're going to have a ton of agents jumping in there over the next couple of weeks. And again, we just share all the recordings and recap resources in that group chat. So we'll send this out after as well. So let's dive in. Now, I want to share this video first. If any of you came to the CEO Summit at Family Reunion, you heard Cody Sanchez speak. She's phenomenal when it comes around business perspective and just having a different way of approaching scaling businesses. And this is her take on where AI is headed in business.
If you guys obsess on AI right now, I think we are so early in the game that in 2 to 3 to 5 years from now, you will be 2 to 3 to 20 years ahead of people who don't start today. The speed at which AI is changing everything in business is like, I've never seen anything like it in my entire career. To the point that I hired a person 100% full-time in my office who all he does is think about how do we integrate AI into my businesses. I'm now going to hire them across multiple businesses. All he does is send me ideas in order to use AI. I also think that going forward, most of the tasks that we think of as annoying, such as managing your payroll and expenses, like Ramp's new AI tools are incredible. I use them across my business. I use Superhuman for email. This has been around for a long time. They have new AI tools that are rolling out. And Perplexity Labs, if you guys haven't used the new pro version of Perplexity, I don't hire investment analysts anymore. I used to have a lot of them because they analyze businesses. Should we invest in them? Is this sector good or not? Gone. That was a $175,000 a year job that I would hire for. Gone with a $200 a month Perplexity Labs connection. And they analyze the industries for me. And so if you guys are not using this, you will get left behind. And that is the only thing I know for sure, even though I don't want it to be true. 20 years. Everything in business is
here's my perspective on this. I don't think that AI is going to replace real estate agents. I do believe that we're going to see two types of agents in the near future. We're going to have AI agents who are fully utilizing AI to give the client or the consumer the best experience possible. And then we are having agents get out of the business because they cannot compete with the AI enabled agent. And I'm going to show you today how agents in my market center are using AI right now. For perspective, I wish I would have thrown this in the slide. For the leaders in the room, you'll know what this report is, but Keller Williams has something called a LORE report, a language of real estate report. And it essentially gives us metrics of success, right? Things that we should be tracking: our agent growth, our profitability, how many listings we took in the brokerage, things like that. For perspective, my brokerage is up 50% year over year in profits. Okay. Keller Williams International overall is down 13%. My region is down 29%. So there's an 80% gap between my office and the other offices in our market. The one shift that we made 12 months ago is leaning into this conversation of AI and ensuring that our agents were the top 1% of users with artificial intelligence. So I'm going to show you how my top agents are using that today. We have multiple agents. We have one of our agents. She went from $200,000 3 years ago. She went to 800 grand 2 years ago, and then she made over $1 million last year. And she only has an admin. She's a solo agent. And I'll show you some of the use cases of how AI has been equipped in their businesses, so you guys can go take those, deploy them today in your business. The question, though, I want you to think through as we're having this conversation is, what is the chokehold on your business right now? If you had to assess the landscape of your business, where do you feel like you are actually stuck, or what are some of the challenges that are holding you back from going to the next level in your business? And some of you might have some initial ideas that come up. Maybe it's on the lead generation side. You don't have enough leads or clients in the pipeline. Maybe some of you, it's actually the servicing side. You have too many clients in the pipeline and you don't have sufficient systems that allow you to provide high quality service at scale, right? And maybe some of you, it's a leverage conversation. Maybe you don't have the right support structure. You don't have the right team. You need to hire and bring people into your ecosystem. So I want you to just think through this. And the answer I'm going to give you is not going to solve everything, but I think everybody can do better in these two different categories. And I'm going to introduce you to this experience I had last week first. So I was at 2 weeks ago, Tony Robbins Business Mastery. And this is the third time I've gone through this program. For some perspective on the quality of this experience, it's $10,000 for a 5-day experience. And he brings in some of the brightest entrepreneurs, business owners in our day and age. The last one that I went to, he had the founder of Lululemon. He had the chairman of Chick-fil-A. His parents are the ones that created Chick-fil-A. He had the founder of Airbnb. This one last 2 weeks ago, he had the founder of Panera Bread, Ron Shaich, who sold the business for $7.5 billion in 2017. He had Dan Martell, who's the author of Buy Back Your Time. And then he had Shadi Bakur, who created Pathwater. And so I'm going to go through and just kind of share some of the principles that came through from this experience, because if nothing more, what I want you to do is be able to get results in your business in the next 90 days. And the principle I'm going to share with you here can be game changing for the rest of your year, but also set you up for 2026. Okay. So here's the principle that was kind of the core theme through all of these conversations. Tony essentially boiled it down to two things. He said that the core of all business comes down to innovation and marketing. Innovation and marketing. He said innovation is finding a better way to meet your clients' needs. The goal of any successful business is to add more value than anyone else in your industry. And you have to start thinking through this as an agent, is how do you actually separate yourself? I don't know the numbers in your specific area. In Utah, we have 20,000 agents in our state. Now, we only have maybe 4,000 homes for sale in the market, right? So we have far more agents than we do in inventory, okay? And that's usually true across the country. We have 1.6 million agents worldwide. So the question, or nationwide, the question is, what's the separating factor between you and the agent next door, okay? And you have to start thinking through the ways that you're actually delivering better quality service to your clients. And AI is what I believe one of the greatest things that you can use to enhance the value that you're delivering to your clients and really innovate the way that you're providing your client experience. The second piece of this is marketing. How do you get someone to want to do business with you over and over again? And part of marketing as a real estate agent is actually your client experience, right? If you crush it and you give them a 10 out of 10 experience, the likelihood of them doing business with you again or referring business to you is substantially higher, right? If it's just an okay experience, right? Here's the challenge. I have this conversation quite often as I'm consulting with agents. And very often, when I ask, what is your value proposition? What are you doing to deliver a quality experience to your clients? And they'll give kind of a generic response. And hear me now with this. If you are doing what is expected, it's nothing special. So if you're saying, well, I negotiate, I find a client the home, right? I go from the process of contract to close and making sure that they get to the finish line. That's expected by the consumer. It's not special. So don't market that, right? So what you want to start asking is, what are some of those things that I can do that are enhancements to my client experience that lets my client know I'm going above and beyond in the experience, and therefore I'm building a one-of-one business, right? There's nobody else that's doing this specific lane. And I'll go through and just show you how agents in our market center are doing that. So that's going to be the topic of conversation today, is how do we really use AI in an innovative way? And here's a piece of kind of perspective on the innovation side. Everybody is using AI. Okay. When I do this in a large setting and I say, how many of you are using ChatGPT? It's like 90% of the room. Okay. And I was having a consultation or a consulting experience with an OP, and he has multiple offices. And he said, well, what if everybody in the next 3 to 5 years is using AI? Like, won't that level the playing field? Right? Won't it make it so that if everybody's using it, it's not anything special any longer? And this is the kind of analogy that popped into my mind in that conversation is, have any of you watched the recent movie F1 that came out maybe last month or 2 months ago? I don't know if you know this. It's kind of interesting. There's only 20 F1 drivers in the world. Okay. And if you were to just say, hey, I'm going to have Amy, I'm going to put you on the spot, Amy, or Allie, anybody on this call, Michael, Katie, Brian, I'm going to put you in an F1 car and I'm going to have you drive and race against an F1 driver. Even though you're going to be in this exact same car, you're going to have the same exact setup. Do you believe that the race is going to end in the same outcome? Do you believe that you have a chance to compete with the F1 driver?
I do not.
And why might that be?
I have not practiced.
You don't have the skill set of driving that car like they do, right? So my perspective is that agents who start now, going back to what Cody said in that video, the agents who really get effective at using AI and creative at using it today are going to be so far advanced in 3 years, there's no catching up for everybody that's using it. So it's not that we all have the same vehicle, it's do we know how to use it effectively, right? That's the competitive advantage. And so part of what I'm going to show you right now, we're going to get into some demonstrations and go through how to use this at an effective level, is saying 3 years from now, I want to be that F1 driver. I want to be one of the top 20 or the top 50 agents in my market that knows how to use AI to get a result, that sells homes faster, sells it for top dollar because of the way that I use and engage with AI. Okay. The other side of this is that most agents are only using 1 or 2 tools when it comes to the artificial intelligence game. And that's only one use case. There's a lot of different platforms out there that have different outcomes. And so the question is, in the different phases of your business, from your contract to close, your marketing experience, how you actually consult with your clients, are there AI tools that you're using in that are not ChatGPT, right? And so we're not going to go a ton through various tools today. That is really set up for the AI Summit, but I'm going to give you, since I know most of you are using ChatGPT, I'm going to give you some stuff you can use right now with how to engage with ChatGPT at a higher level. And this is really what the conversation is about, is the 80-20 rule, right? That 80% of our results come from 20% of our actions. So then the strategy should be that we say, how can we actually speed up the 80%? How do we do that faster so we have more time to focus on the top 20%? That's my perspective of AI. Is the superpower here is that it actually allows you to do the 80% tasks faster. I don't believe that AI is at a point right now where it can just do solutions end to end. It can do the whole process for you, right? In the future, that might be a reality, but today it's not. So what we can do is say, well, what are those things that I spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours on per month or per week that if I speed them up by 80% and it only takes me 20% to do them, I can now reallocate that time towards stuff that actually pays me money, right? Does anybody on this call know how many tasks are in the MREA? There's a specific list. It's called certain tasks of a mega agent. Anybody know that number? I'm going to pull the chat up so I can also see if there's any questions popping up that are good to bring into the conversation.
750.
750, that's a specific number. If you go to the, oh, Mike got close. If you go to KW Inc. and you actually download the PDF version of the book, they also have a spreadsheet in there where you can actually download this, and I'm going to pull it up actually. It's 192 tasks is what the spreadsheet is. So you can go right to KW Inc., you can download this sheet, and it will show you all the different tasks that are done in certain areas of the business, okay? Now, how many of these actually pay us money? 5 to 7, right? Doesn't mean that the other stuff doesn't matter. Some of the stuff still has to get done. Like you have to ensure, right, that you fill out contracts, right? That's an important part of our focus in our job, but it's not highest and best use of time. So how can we use AI to help us do those things faster so we can focus on the more valuable tasks? Here's an example, okay? Let's get into a few different ways that you can use just ChatGPT more effectively in your business. How many of you have built custom AI assistants or custom GPTs?
Working on it now. Just got it.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So when you are in ChatGPT, on the left-hand side, you'll see these circles and it says GPTs. When you click on that, it brings you to a library. This is where you can actually people have built custom AI assistants. They are specializing in one thing and they do it very well, rather than just normal ChatGPT where it's very general and vague in its approach. It just pulls information from everywhere. You can still harness all of that power of it being able to search online, but more importantly, you can say, I want you to be focused on whatever it is. I want you to be a listing assistant. I want you to be my marketing director. I want you to be my financial coach, my health coach, whatever it is. You can actually channel it to be very focused on one lane. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on the real estate side, but then also what it might look on your personal side. So we're going to look at building a listing assistant. So something that helps you to streamline your property listings with AI-powered marketing. And then also, what would it look like to build a financial coach? So on the wealth building side, how do you have a personal assistant who understands your financial world and can actually give you personalized instructions and strategy to help you move forward your wealth? And then also just an organizational way, how do you actually store what we call a prompt library? How do you start building this library prompts? Because there's tasks that you do every single week, every month, every quarter that you probably have rewritten a prompt for ChatGPT multiple times. And we always say, don't solve the same problem twice. Meaning if you have a certain scenario where you do that every week, you might as well just build a master prompt that you can use every time. All you have to do is copy paste and you're ready to go with using that prompt. So I'll show you what that looks like as well. Okay. So let's look at the listing assistant. So I'm going to look at an assistant that's already built. You'll notice that they actually pop up over here on the left-hand side. So you can pin them to where if you use them frequently, you can pin them over here, or you can go to My GPTs. And this is where you'll find all of your AI assistants. Now I'm going to look for our listing assistant. Perfect. And I'm going to just say, and if you want to do this side by side, please do. Go to your ChatGPT on your phone or on your computer right now and just say, I have a listing, and give it the address and see what response you get compared to what response I get. So I have a listing. It's 531 Glendon Way in Pleasant Grove. So tell me if we get the same experience. And I want you to think through as well, how impactful this can be for your experience as you are taking a listing. So instead of it just giving me a vague response and saying, congrats, Shoney, that's awesome. You should market it. Like, what do you want me to help with? My assistant already knows that's awesome. I need this information so I can help you with the marketing. I need the listing price, the square footage, the lot size, when was it built, what's your marketing budget? And by the way, Shoney, you should take this prompt over to another AI platform called Perplexity and do some further research. So I'm going to take this prompt that it just gave me. And while it's doing the research for us, which Perplexity, I'll just give you a little synopsis on this. We'll go deeper on it in the AI Summit. This is one of my favorite tools when it comes to research. It's far faster than ChatGPT. It also does not hallucinate like ChatGPT does. I don't know if any of you have ran into that where it will give you the wrong answer and you're like, that's not accurate at all, right? And it's because ChatGPT is programmed to give you a response no matter what, even if it's not true. Whereas Perplexity is engineered different. Its focus is accuracy. Its focus is making sure that every data point that it gives you, it also provides the source and says, here's where I can back up the data. This is where I found the information. So you can verify and validate, do I want to use that source or not? Okay, and so that's the power behind what Perplexity can do. And then, of course, again, it is faster at this research process than what ChatGPT does. So I'm going to take that back over to Chat, just all of the information it found for me. It went and looked at schools. It looked at developments that are happening in that area, all the stuff that should be a part of our marketing. And then I'm going to actually just take a previous listing that I had and take the information from that listing. So let me use that for speed. So I'm going to answer the questions of listing price, marketing budget, what's the breakdown of the home, all of that. So this process usually might take, my assistant does this, but this might take 3 to 5 minutes for any of our agents to go through. And when they put in the information, it then again acts like a high-powered marketing machine. So what it's going to do first is you can see is open up this editable document it's going to build, which is a comprehensive marketing plan. Now, what our agents will do is they'll actually take this, they'll take it out of ChatGPT, put it in a nice PDF document, and they'll share that with their seller before they go live. So they've already secured the listing. The client has already said yes to working with them, but they want to go above and beyond. And they say, hey, I know we talked about the general marketing plan during my listing presentation, but here's all the custom marketing strategies we're going to deploy with getting your home sold ASAP. And so that's just, again, another touch point to stimulate referrals, right? We want to go above and beyond for clients. And so they'll go ahead and have that marketing plan presented to their client, but then they'll say next phase. And as you can see, what most agents do with ChatGPT, they'll jump in and they'll say, I need a MLS description. It's 3 bedrooms, it's 5 baths, and here's the breakdown. They'll give it some vague information, right? The challenge is it makes something that sounds good, right? ChatGPT is very good at wording things, but if you actually dig into it, it is not set up to market to the right buyer, right? Meaning that it doesn't actually do pre-research on the buyer persona. So if you go back up here and we look at, let me find it. One of the things that this marketing assistant does is it says, well, we need to find the buyer for this before we create the marketing because they want certain words. They have different motivations. They have different pain points, different, consumption strategies. So we actually need to define that first and then create the marketing to match that buyer. Okay. Does that make sense so far? And so this is a very different approach of how you're engaging with AI. We're both using the same tool. We're just using it differently, right? And you get a very different result. This exact home, this was actually one of my personal listings. I'm also in production as a team leader. This was 1.45 million. We listed it at, and we sold it within 17 days, whereas everything else in that area is sitting for 60 to 75 days at that price point. Okay. So the goal here is that it gave me some marketing strategy, but it also perfected the copy. So it was speaking and resonating with that potential buyer. So after the marketing content, I then can say next phase again. And this is where it's now going to build all of the social media and marketing assets. So the first phase is creating the marketing strategy. Second phase is it's creating the MLS description, your personal website, And then the third phase is any kind of social media, email, stuff like that, where it gives you all of that packaged in about 5 minutes. Okay. I'm going to pause for just a second. Do we have any questions about the process that I just went through or custom GPTs, this new approach to using ChatGPT?
Shoney, I actually lost you when you were saying that let's say you're a listing agent, you're giving them prompts, information about the property. Are you asking him, or who is agent, ChatGPT or you are? That's where I lost you, like giving
Yeah.
direction.
Yep. So just for clarity, when you're building these custom GPTs, are you guys seeing the GPT window? Is that what's popping up? Cool.
Yeah.
So in AI terms, they call these agents. So I know it kind of overlaps with like the conversation of real estate agents versus an AI agent. An AI agent is essentially a custom GPT or a custom assistant that you've built. So the way these things are built is in the top right hand side, and you do have to pay for the plus version of ChatGPT to see this window and have access to this to create them. It's $20 a month. So if you're not on the upgraded version, you won't see this specific window we're going to jump into. But all you do is you hit create, and then you're able to program it. So you're able to have it build this custom assistant, and it can perform certain tasks for you. So for example, that listing assistant, it is trained on fair housing guidelines, right? So it knows when I create the marketing, I cannot say certain things that would put us in a bad spot, right? So it's trained on very specific data. It also is built, this one we have is built for Utah. So it studied Utah's market and understands the language patterns, what kind of buyers are here. And so all the marketing that it's creating is specific to our area. So hopefully that is clear. But yeah, an agent in some of the terms I'm going to be using today is talking about an AI agent or a custom solution. And then sometimes I will be talking about us, right? Real estate agents.
Hey, Shoney, we had some people get booted. Could you readmit anybody waiting in the waiting room?
I
Or
just
Amy? Thank
yeah, I just
Amy,
admitted a bunch of people that had no name as their name. So if your name is no name, go ahead and update it.
Awesome. So let me just show you another example of this. So again, you can build these custom AI assistants to do anything, really. And let me open up another window really quick. So I'm going to show you one that we, in that school community, the QR code that I shared at the very beginning, the recording of this entire segment is in there. So if you want to go through and get a deep dive on using, a custom GPT, how to build it and use it to help be your financial coach, you can go find the recording in that group. But I'm going to give you kind of just the breakdown here. So this is where you can go ahead and customize ChatGPT to be your wealth coach. And when it understands your financial world, what your goals are, it can give you very strategic guidance, right? Rather than just vague general advice. So this is an actual conversation that I had with one of my custom GPTs that is my financial coach. So it knows my investment strategy, it knows my asset allocation, it knows, where I'm trying to head over the next 3, 5, 10 years. I've trained it on all that information. Side note here, just so that you're aware, this is something important. When you're putting stuff into ChatGPT, my one recommendation is to go down to your settings down here. So you click on your name and you hit settings, and then if you hit data control, you can actually turn off this improve the model for everyone. I don't want OpenAI to train their models on my personal data. Okay. So I get that question often of like, are you worried about putting personal sensitive information in there? I don't put like my social security number in there, my address, stuff like that. That is personal. But for the most part, like I don't care if it knows my goals and it knows where I'm at. That information would not hurt me if it went out there, right? And I often share that in our coaching classes anyway. So for me, I'm okay with that, but I do turn that setting off where they're not accessing that to train their model. Okay, so just a little side tip. So let's look at the response that I got from this assistant. This was an actual situation. Go back to here. So basically, I just gave it a scenario. I said, I added $100,000 into this investment in 2023. Is it wise to do a capital call or skip it? For those who are not familiar with what a cap call is, basically, I made an investment. They were running out of cash because of some of the improvements they've done on this property. And so they said, all the investors now have to bring more capital to the table, or your investment ownership gets diluted. And so, I just said, help me think through this. Should I add the other? I think they're asking for $12,000 or something, $15,000 bucks. And I said, should I do this or should I not? Now, because I had trained it on all of my goals and where I'm at, this is the advice that it gave me. So I literally just copy and pasted this from ChatGPT. It said, Shoney, you've invested $100,000 into this fund. It's now, initiating a $958,000 capital call, offering a 5% unit premium for new contributions. And then it says down here, so from your wealth portfolio, you're already overexposed on your real estate assets. Your 85% of your investments are in real estate. And you told me that your target exposure is you want 55% in real estate, 20% private equity, 10% crypto. So it's just pulling what my goals are. And it said, you know what? My recommendation is to skip the call. Skip it and instead invest that $12,500 into other things that are going to provide more equity. Now, here's the thing. I could have come up with that thought process on my own, but it was great to have a thinking partner in this, right? And you can see how this is I didn't have to give it anything except for, is it wise to do the cap call? That's the only prompt I gave it. And then I put I copied the email from the investment group and put it in here. That's all I gave it. But because it's already pre-trained on all the other information, it was able to coach me and guide me, okay? So that's where I see a heavy use on these custom GPTs is customizing solutions for your business and then also doing the same thing for your personal life. If you have a health coach, right, you might want to look at, should I add an AI enhanced health coach in there that understands what my goals are, understands my challenges. I can say, hey, I'm really not going to follow this plan. Like, give me some better solutions, right? So you can use these as thought partners in your goal. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to share on this note on the innovation, this is all on the innovation side. So innovation is about using AI in different ways that gets a better outcome or result, okay, than how you're currently using it. Another way that is very important is to start building what we call a prompt library. So a prompt library, if you look at your business, you look at your life, there are things that you do every single week or every day or every month like clockwork. When you have a listing, how many of you send out an email on Fridays or Mondays or whenever telling a seller, here's what has happened on your home this week. It's still on the market. Obviously, we don't have any offers, but here's the marketing that we've deployed. Here's how many views or eyeballs we've had on your property, and here's what we're doing next. Do any of you proactively do that? Few of you? Okay. Like, think through, well, if you're going to do that process every week, if you have listings on the market, why wouldn't you just create a prompt where you can go copy, paste it, and fill in the blank, where it will say, what client is this for? How many eyeballs did see the home with your marketing efforts this week? And then what are the 2 strategies we need to do next week? Or you can program the ChatGPT to know what your strategies are as well. Or it can say, hey, you're a month on the market. You should change up the strategy. We might have to approach it with a price improvement conversation to the client. So you can actually train a custom GPT to know that, but you can also just store your prompts here. So I have it built in Notion. We'll talk a little bit more about this platform in a minute. You can do this in a spreadsheet. You can do this on your Google Calendar in the description. If you have a weekly time slot where you're like every Friday, 9 a.m., I send out to my clients ahead of time, telling them what we've done to market their home and what's coming next so that they don't reach out to us over the weekend asking what's going on with my listing. Well, why not just build that into your Google Calendar and save it as the description? So you just, on Fridays, click on that Google Calendar slot, and then you go ahead and copy the paste, and you're ready to go. You're off to the races, okay? Things like, for example, let's pull up one. So seller net sheet explanation. So this is how this platform works, is I can go ahead and click on any of these prompts. They're also searchable. So if I say CMA, for example, or net sheet, I can find the exact prompt that I'm looking for and say, okay, this is the prompt that I need. Oftentimes, agents, again, are just thinking from scratch what prompt they should use. my recommendation is to build a really good prompt and then save it as the cheat code or as the repeat prompt that you're going to use in the future. Okay. I'm going to pause for a sec. Does this make sense? Any questions with building a prompt library? You
There
see
was
the value.
in the chat. It says, how did you get to the AI prompt library?
So, great question. So here's two things. We're going to talk in a minute about this idea of building a second brain. So where you store information. For most of you, you're probably already using Google Drive, right? Google Sheets or Google Docs, things like that. So that's a great starting place, is to start building your prompts into a spreadsheet or to Google Docs. Another level, which does take a little bit more tech savviness, is this platform. It's called Notion. So Notion just allows you to see information in a different way. So it's almost like Google Drive, but far more organized. And it's kind of the newer version of what I would say a knowledge base should be. So for example, this is actually a spreadsheet, but it's also a document. So if I needed to type things down here, I can type on the side, and it's a Google Doc now. And I can say, I need prompt for XYZ, whatever it is. So it's basically a spreadsheet. These are columns and rows, but behind each row, I can actually have far more information, which that's the challenge with spreadsheets, is you can't really build deep into it. Whereas with Notion, you can. So how I found this is because it's in my knowledge base, I just have the link saved essentially. Okay. So we'll jump into this next part, which is the marketing side, and it will actually answer the question of Notion a little bit more, because I know some of you are probably you haven't heard of that platform before. So I want to shift gears and talk for a second about marketing. This is where I believe AI can give you such a strategic edge, is you're using AI to help you better market. Okay. The reality is that it's a game of getting more contacts and getting people into your funnel, right? Or engaging with your sphere of influence in a way that actually causes results to happen, right? That causes or ends up with business, the amount of business that you want. And I've had thousands of consultations. I've been in the team leader role for 4 years now. And between my agents that I consult and then the recruiting appointments that I've had, I cannot tell you how many conversations turn into a conversation of how can I better deliver value? How can I better market myself to my clients and get more leads or more closings, right? And the one thing that we recommend shifting is to stop marketing yourself and start marketing the solutions and future that people want. The reality is that most agents market themselves, or they'll market things like, I just sold this property, I've got a new open house, I'm in real estate, and they say it in 50 different ways that I'm in real estate, right? Or they market that they have a new listing. Now, if you actually look at the common patterns of buyers and sellers, they are scrolling through Facebook, they see your post, they hit like maybe, and then they scroll on. They do not do really anything with those kind of posts, right? Because it's not solving any problem for them. The more uncommon, people are doing it, but it's more uncommon, is they are marketing solutions to buyers and sellers' greatest problems today, right? So things, for example, the first-time home buyer's playbook. Anybody who's been thinking about buying a home, they probably want some guidance, they probably want some support on that. And all that you want to do is get good at building a funnel where when they click on it, you say, here's my first-time home buyer's playbook, download it for free today, right? Or here's my free landlord guide, download it now. And you make it all free, right? But when they go to access it, the only way to download it is when they put in their email, their phone number, their contact info, right? So you're able to see who took advantage of that resource. Now, in the past, here's the roadblock. It was very hard for you to generate or create resources like this, right? You had to personally sit down and think through, well, what would I put in this first-time home buyer's guide? And let me do a bunch of research. Whereas now you can go to AI and say, I need a first-time home buyer's guide. Like, let's do this together. I'm going to show you one other cool tool that will be helpful. So build a first-time home buyer's guide. So obviously I would take more time to build a really good quality prompt, but for speed, I'm going to just show you how powerful this is and how anybody, no matter what your current situation is with marketing, you can do this. So it's going to go ahead and create the content. I would probably go to another platform called Claude, which is very similar to ChatGPT, except for the content is far more detailed. So if I have this same prompt with Claude, you can see how ChatGPT is very good at strategy. So it actually just spit out these bullet points, but like that's not actually a good PDF to send to clients. It's very vague. If I give this exact same prompt to Claude, I'm just going to add in one caveat of build it in an artifact. What Claude is going to do is it's going to be far more long form, like legit content you can actually go put into a document. So you can see table of contents that it spit out, chapter 1. Already, this is far more powerful of a response than what ChatGPT gave me, right? So I would actually build this kind of stuff within Claude rather than ChatGPT. It will build basically a book for you. So it's better for long-term content. And then of course you can, be very specific and say, hey, make it this length. I don't want it to be too long, right? Where it's overwhelming for the client, build it within 3 pages, whatever the case may be. But here's the powerful part is you can take it to another platform. It's called Gamma. How many of you are using this right now? Very few. Okay, good. So if I go to import, or I'm going to go create new AI with AI, and I'm going to just import a file, and I'm going to upload it from my computer. And I'm going to use one that I built in the past. So I have a lot of clients that are investors. It's kind of my niche focus. And when the market shifted in 2022, some of the properties didn't make sense anymore because interest rates were higher. And so clients would look at deals that we'd analyze together and they're like, the numbers just don't work. And so one of the solutions we started to present is, well, are you open to self-managing the property? Would you be open to, instead of having a property management company come in, would you be okay with managing the property yourself? Because that will cut out $200 to $300 a month in management fees, and that can actually make the numbers work. And we had about 20 clients that year say, yes, I'm happy to self-manage if we can make the numbers work. So what we did is we built a landlord guide where we showed them exactly how to market their property, what to put in their lease agreement, all the details that they might need to know to self-manage successfully. That was the playbook that we were giving out. And so what you're seeing now is this platform called Gamma. As you can see, I'm not using my hands. I'm not typing any of this. I just gave it the content, and it's going to build the nice deliverable, the PDF download or the presentation, whatever way you want to give it, for me. It also put my brokerage logo down here in the bottom. So this is a really cool resource where it will build out presentations for you, PDFs. So if you build the first-time homebuyer's guide in Claude or ChatGPT, you can copy that, take it over to Gamma, and then it will build a PDF that you then offer as a freebie to clients. It only takes you maybe 4 or 5 minutes to build this, okay? Going back to that first thing that I shared with you, this is also how our agents will take their, let me show you a legit example of this. Let me see if I can find it though. Let's see. Okay, I don't have it on here, but essentially I had one of our top agents. She shared a situation where she went and did this for a custom listing presentation. As you can see, it will put images and stuff in here as well, which you can change. So you can have it create whatever images you want, or you can choose an accent image. So you can change those after it's done. You can actually have it change the format. If you're like, I don't like this layout, I want to change it to something else. You basically have a marketing design team right in your pocket. But anyway, my top agent, one of my top agents, she did this for to secure a listing where she built basically a custom marketing presentation for a client, and did it all in with a few different AI tools, but Gamma was one of the primary ones. And she won the listing because she had a better presentation to the client, and it was more specific to their situation. So as you can see, it's building out additional pages. So I can say, I want this view or this view or this view. So you can see the information in different ways. Okay. So that's another little side tool. So Uncommon is providing solutions to whatever clients' challenges or or problems are, right? 5 ways to save $500 or more per month when you buy your new home. Download the guide now. You can even market experiences. So, hey, we have a movie night coming up, or we have a client event coming up. Like, show that you're providing value to people. Those are the more uncommon, but that's actually what turns into business. Now, what AI can do is help you think through those strategies. It can help you build those resources. And so we want to get very strategic in our approach of saying, well, how can I kind of improve or enhance my library of offers? Okay, so this is where I'm going to introduce Notion a little bit more in depth. So if I go to lead generation, most of the agents in my office will build something like this, where essentially they want a library of offers, things that they can make, or lead magnets is another way to say it. MOFers is a common way that we talk about it in KW's ecosystem, which stands for make offers for immediate response. So again, if I posted just sold or just listed, you're not actually getting anybody to engage with that in a meaningful way, right? Yes, they can like it, they can comment congrats, but that's about it. Whereas if you were to put, my mortgage hacks playbook. Now, we don't use the KW playbook. Agents create their own version, and they say, here's 3 different ways where you can actually lower your monthly payment when buying a new home. And here's the ones that I recommend. And so they're offering that as a downloadable resource. But what they'll do is they'll build this library where they can say, you know what? It's about time that we send out our golden letter, our equity assessment document. So what they'll do is just save these as a library of resources where it's easy to say, this month, what are we deploying? I'm going to go ahead and do a market update, tell people what's happening. Let me zoom in here for you. Tell people what's happening in the state of the market for Utah. And then down below, I'm going to make my offer. I'm going to tell them, scan here to see your home value. And it's going to go to a landing page where they have to put their email in and their home address to get their home value. Now, before they can actually get their home value, it's going to ping me, right? And I'm going to do a CMA for them. But you're getting hot leads in the pipeline. So that's what our agents will do is they'll have 2 types of lead magnets or MOFers. They want timely and timeless. Timeless are offers that will work forever, right? They worked 20 years ago. They're going to work 10 years from now. One of those examples is like the first-time homebuyers guide. There's always going to be first-time homebuyers, and they're always going to be curious about, like, what do I do? How do I navigate this process, right? Cash offers for listings, right? Saying, hey, I'm going to list your home and sell it, or I will buy it, right? So there's different things that you can deploy that have always worked. And then there's timely MOFers. There's timely lead magnets that we can throw in the ecosystem. Right now, it's heavily around affordability. So if you solve the problem and you say, hey, here's 4 different ways that I can help you cut out X amount on your monthly payment, right? Download this free resource and it shows you all the steps. It's all free. Go ahead and take advantage of it. All you need to know is who took advantage of it. They're basically raising their hand telling you, I'm potentially in the market, right? So that's the power of having some sort of lead magnet library, is it's stuff that you can repeat or recycle through every month and just say, which one are we throwing out this month? What are we going to do to get more leads in our pipeline? So this is where this idea of something called building a second brain comes into play. I'm going to jump fast forward past this and I'll come back to it. So the idea of building your second brain, okay, your brain was designed for storing, not for storing for information. It was designed to create, okay? It was designed for strategic thinking. The challenge is over time, we have kind of overloaded ourselves with saying, I've got to store so much information in my head. Or we use a very messy system, right? This is what most business systems look like. How many of you use Google Drive as your primary way to store information, or Dropbox, something similar to that realm? Okay. How many of you have ever jumped into any of those platforms and be like, freak, I forgot what the name is of that sheet or that document or that resource, and you have to go down this rabbit hole of hunting for the information, right? And so if you jump on and you look at Google Drive, it was one of the first, kind of iterations or versions of how to store information, but it's not very organized. And it creates a lot of challenges with scale because everything is actually kind of chaos within Google Drive, right? Yes, you can use folders. The challenge is with folders, you have this experience where you can go into a folder, into a folder, into another folder, you get the idea, right? It's so deep and it's very hard to find information. So this platform that I'm going to introduce you to, Notion, is more of an organizational method, and it's similar to Google Drive, but it's way better for organizing. So just imagine if you were to walk into a garage that's neatly organized, it has, bins that are labeled, it's visually appealing. Same with this closet. If I were to say, can you find the purses? Very easy because they're organized in a very specific location, right, on the shelf. Or if I say, can you go find the shoes? It's gonna be very easy because you're like, this is where the shoes live in this closet, right? And so Notion is that platform. And this is what it looks like. So Notion allows you to build out folders, but you're able to see stuff in a visually appealing way. So this is what a lot of our top agents in our office use for their kind of organizational system, where they can say, where's my goals? Where are my core guidelines? Where's my operations? When I bring an admin in or a virtual assistant, they need to know how my life runs, and they need to know what we call playbooks or standard operating procedures. Where if they were to jump on here, they know exactly how to manage my calendar, or they know how we handle, a buyer that's under contract. If I were to say, I need to find our client emails, for example, this is the cool thing with Notion is all you have to remember is a keyword. So if I were to say emails, I'm not trying to use Siri. If I were to say emails, you'll see that everything related to emails pops up, but it's very easy to locate. I'm looking for my Ivens real estate emails. And this is where I can now store the information very easily and say, okay, whenever we have a buyer, we have email 1, email 2, email 3, and it's all of our emails are organized. It's a template. All we have to do is change out the name and a few details, but we're ready to send this. So now an admin can step in and write the perfect email because they're just using it from a template, right? So as you can see, you can't really store information this way in Google Drive. It's really hard to do so, whereas Notion is an awesome platform for structuring stuff like this. Now, all of this, though, is powered by AI. So Notion has AI built within it. Due to time, I unfortunately can't dive deeper into the rabbit hole of using the AI in Notion, but it is present, and you can ask it questions, or you can have it build resources. So if you're to say, hey, I'll just show you one example, create an email. So it does actually have Claude is the AI that's built in here. So the one that we kind of mentioned earlier. As you can see though, what it did first is it actually read my entire brain. It read through everything in my drive before creating the email. So it actually learns my writing patterns, my habits, and all that stuff. And it actually builds it out perfectly with my tone. So that's one of the cool things with Notion is now I have this email. I can go ahead and hit insert below, and I've got my email template within my brain. Okay, so I don't have to go in ChatGPT, copy, paste, and draft it over. Claude, which is this platform we initially mentioned, is already built in there. So I know this was a lot. I said I was going to go fast for you guys today and kind of just overwhelm you a little bit because there's so many things we could dive into. We only went through maybe 3 tools. We're going to go through 8 to 10 at the AI Summit and make sure that you really understand all the different platforms that you can use in your business to thrive and be successful that are AI empowered. If you want some of these resources like I shared today, a lot of them are already in this group, so you can go download those. But Amy, any questions or anything else you want me to hit on before we wrap up?
I'm just looking through a couple things in the chat. Somebody asked you, do you use the stages in command for your opportunities for, I'm assuming, for these templates you were just talking about?
Love it. That's a phenomenal question. So yes, when we build these out, let me just log in really quick and show you. Here's the genius thing with how command is built is when I jump in to my opportunities and I look at a specific client, let's look at these ones that are under contract. So if I say this client here, right here, you can click on the tasks. And all that we've done is we've preloaded all of our emails in here. So whenever my assistant gets to this stage, she says, well, we need to send the under contract email. And you can see that it's linked to Notion. So it has the email ready to go. All she now has to do is copy, paste, and change the stuff that's in orange, right? The placeholders. So yes, we use it within our opportunities and we just hyperlink here, whatever those emails are, but it's still stored in Notion. Does that help answer the question?
Awesome. Yeah. Another question came in. How did you personally learn about AI and to get to where you are today?
Great question. It's going back to that analogy of like, it is a new language. The fastest way to learn a new language is immersing yourself in it, studying it. I had this experience I'm in a high level networking experience with Tony Robbins. So I'm with his group roughly once a quarter. We had an experience in Canada. We were in Whistler, and he brought in some of the brightest minds around wealth building. I'm going to show an image to help with this. So he brought in, he had Steve Forbes, he had Ray Dalio, Steve Forbes from Forbes magazine, just some of the most prolific investors of our time. But one of the individuals was Peter Diamandis. And Peter said kind of a similar quote to what I said to you earlier today. He said there's going to be two types of companies in the next 3 to 4 years. There's going to be those who are fully utilizing AI to give the client and consumer the best experience possible, and those who are getting out of business because they can't compete. And that hit me. This was 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, well, like, how does that disrupt the real estate space? And it kind of set me down this rabbit hole where I've read probably 20 to 25 books on AI. All the newsletters, if you were to see my inbox, my email inbox, it's all subscribed to AI specific newsletters. All the YouTube videos that I watch during my lunch breaks as a TL, like I'm in consulting appointments, I have a 30-minute lunch break, I'm throwing on an AI video. So I've studied it, I've consumed it over the last 2 years. Because that really hit me. And I said, I need my agents to be at the forefront of this disruption that's going to happen. Now, the shortcut, again, is I would just tell you to join the school community, because what we've done is said, well, if you go do the same path, what you'll find, a lot of it is not specific to real estate. It is not. When you go and watch YouTube videos, they're talking about business in general, but they do not teach you or apply it to real estate specifically. So within our community on school, it's free. So you can be on here. That's where we're posting the prompts, the recordings. You can literally just jump on this. For example, this was an hour-long deep dive on how to use AI to build wealth. And so we're just making it more specific to real estate within this community. So that's the cheat code, is I would say, don't go down the same rabbit hole that I went down. Go somewhere where it's specific to real estate, and we're showing you the prompts and the stuff that we're using. That just makes it so you can, speed up your learning curve. Great question. Probably have time for one more question.
All right. Yeah. Somebody asked about which books, but I think that this mastermind group would probably be a better resource for them. And then we have how do you train your GPTs that you create? I know that's a longer question. Is that something you might be going over in the summit?
Yes, that will be in the summit, is where we'll actually get into the weeds of that. I'll at least send this so you can pass it out. But I do have the list that I will give you all. And you can take a screenshot of this if you'd like. These are basically the books on AI. Again, this is in Notion, as you can see. So even my library of books, what I've read, my notes on those books, it's all stored in Notion, so I can easily find that. But I will send this list. Again, I wouldn't recommend going down that rabbit hole. Like, some of these are very tough reads to go through. This is an interesting one, but like Ray Kurzweil, he predicted, where AI will be smarter than all humanity in a very short period of time. So yeah, I've just gone down that rabbit hole of reading these books. Again, I would just jump to that group because it's gonna be the fast track essentially. So there are a few books that we'll recommend in that group, but they're very specific, focused.
Awesome. I've put your school link in the chat, and we've been posting the Eventbrite link for when you come to visit Chicago in November. And then, I see somebody asked, is Notion a part of GPT? That is a separate platform. So Shoney shared a lot of platforms today. And some of the questions we were getting around that is which platforms do you actually pay for?
This is something we go into in the summit as well, like what your tech stack is going to look like with AI. It's almost like, think about your phone right now. All of you probably have an iPhone or Android. I know there's probably maybe 20 of you still using a pager, right? As a joke, none of you probably are using a pager. But the reality is, when you shifted from a pager to a smartphone, like, it has so much more capabilities. There's so many apps on your phone right now. You probably use more than just phone calls and texts. You have Instagram, email, social, like all these different platforms that are on your phone. So I know this might seem like I flashed a lot at you right now, but you're going to get to the point where, like, actually I need 4 or 5 different tools to really grow my business. And so we'll go a little bit more into depth on that and what the specific tech stack looks like at the AI Summit. But we will go into those details. Notion you can use for free.
That is amazing. And I think that you covered a lot of amazing content here, giving us some really good ideas. I think that there's a lot of items that were covered that we can start to work on and then come to the AI Summit and learn to use them at a higher level. So if that's something you guys are interested in, those links are in the chat. We've already got people signing up. We do know that that class is going to sell out. So if you want to go, get your ticket now. Shoney, what's the favorite thing you've ever done with AI, like a prompt, business or personal?
Funny enough, it's you put any kind of prompt that you're using into ChatGPT, but right before it, you say, improve this prompt.
Oh.
So kind of the cheat code is that I actually just don't try to write the best prompts. I have AI write it because it actually is more intelligent with doing that. So whatever you're trying to accomplish, write the prompt and then tell AI, make this prompt better or improve it. And you'll see the response that it gives you. And then that's the prompt that I'd use.
Very cool. Well, I very much appreciate your time. I'm sure everybody else does. You're getting lots of thank yous in the chat. If you guys want to throw in something you learned, I'd be happy to share that with Shoney too. What stuck out to you? What are you going to implement in your business next? We'd love to hear that from you. And Shoney, we're excited to have you in person in November.
Looking forward to it. See you all soon.
All right. Thank you.